Trump and Musk unleash a new kind of chaos on Washington. Welcome to Trend Talks with Jenny and Joey. I'm Jenny, and this is my co-host, Joey. We're here to dive into the latest trends and hot topics from around the world.
That's right. Today, we're talking about the latest political drama in Washington, D.C. It's a wild ride, and we're here to break it down for you.
So, the big news is that President-elect Donald Trump and Elon Musk have teamed up to disrupt a short-term spending compromise. This move has thrown the Capitol into chaos.
Exactly. The stopgap measure, orchestrated by Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson, was meant to keep the government open until early in Trump's new term. It included nearly $100 billion in aid for Americans hit by national disasters, economic aid for farmers, and a commitment to rebuild Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge.
But Trump and Musk's intervention has plunged the Capitol into one of its classic year-end crises. It's thrown Johnson's hopes of keeping his job into extreme doubt and offered a preview of the chaos that may churn in Trump's second term.
And it's not just political turmoil. The 10th straight day of losses on the Dow Jones Industrial Average has matched the mark set in the Ford administration. This volatility underscores the economic challenges Trump may face, especially with the Federal Reserve warning that inflation will tick up next year.
The sudden imbroglio has triggered shock and confusion on Capitol Hill. But for many of Trump's supporters and boosters in the conservative media, the mayhem is the point. They see it as a way to dismantle the Washington status quo.
True, but it also highlights a key issue for Trump in his second term. If he wants to pass his tax cuts, push through his immigration overhauls, and defend the country, he'll have to find a way to govern. Even if that means clashing with his base voters and MAGA ideologues.
Speaking of ideologues, let's talk about Musk. His philosophy, as described by Walter Isaacson, is to take risks, learn by blowing things up, revise, repeat. He's been living up to that mantra, unleashing attacks on Johnson's plans before dawn on X.
Musk whipped up opposition to the bill all day, driving fury on mega media outlets. Then, Trump and Vice President-elect J.D. Vance issued a statement demanding a streamlined spending bill without Democratic deliverables. They even added a huge condition, raising the government's borrowing ceiling while Joe Biden is still president.
It's not clear how closely Trump and Musk were coordinating, but the timeline of Musk's pressure and Trump's belated entry into the public fray offered demoralized Democrats an opening. New York Representative Dan Goldman even suggested on X that Musk is essentially calling the shots for House Republicans.
Missouri GOP Senator Josh Hawley told CNN's Manu Raju that Trump had been blindsided by Johnson. He said Trump is not read into this. And he's just learning about it. He's just reading about it.
The collapse of the stopgap spending bill has presented Johnson, Trump, and Democrats with risky dilemmas. Unless Johnson can pass some kind of spending measure by Friday at midnight, the government will partially shut down.
Johnson's speakership is suddenly in huge danger. Several House Republicans have said they won't back his re-election. A government shutdown could have unpredictable political consequences, hurting many Americans and shutting down vital federal functions.
Trump's power play is a gamble. He's triggered a standoff that may even linger into next year, potentially overshadowing the run-up to his inauguration on January 20th. It's also a test for Democrats. They wouldn't want chaos to envelop Biden's final days in office, but they have little incentive to bail out Trump.
As lawmakers left the Capitol Wednesday night with no certainty of what would happen next or when they'd be able to go home for the holidays, the country lurched into the first crisis of the second Trump era.
Outgoing Republican Senate leader Mitch McConnell summed up the commotion with a prediction for 2025. "Oh, this is the way it's going to be next year," he told his GOP colleague, Senator Susan Collins of Maine, as they passed in a Senate corridor.
MAGA media has piled pressure on Johnson. The size of his bill sparked uproar on conservative media. Trump supporters are questioning why Republicans would make their first act since Trump's triumph a classic year-end spending spree.
GOP Representative Tim Burchett told CNN's Jim Acosta that President Trump ran on changing things. He suggested passing a bill about 3 days into the next Congress and letting Trump handle it.
But many Republicans are worried about the political implications of a shutdown. Any new bill must recognize current realities. Democrats still control the Senate, so they must be given some incentive to cooperate. And the GOP speaker will need Democratic votes in the House.
Johnson said he'd tried to sell his bill to Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. He explained his conservative play call behind his plan on Fox and Friends. But all Johnson has succeeded in doing is putting his own job in jeopardy.
Kentucky Representative Thomas Massie told CNN's Raju that the speaker wouldn't get his vote in the next Congress. And Brian Lanza, a senior advisor to Trump's 2024 campaign, said a number of lawmakers were of the same mind. The speaker doesn't have the votes right now. He would need to be saved by Donald Trump, Lanza said.
If Johnson is in danger, his fate could complicate Trump's big inauguration party next year. Republicans are desperate for a fast start to make the most of the apex of Trump's power.
And if Johnson can't get elected speaker, who can? Musk suggested that the best path for Republicans would be to freeze Washington until Trump takes office. That would create a government shutdown that would last for weeks, saddle the president-elect with a massive crisis as soon as he takes office, and cause considerable economic damage.
Musk's sabotaging of the Johnson stopgap spending measure gave Democrats an early chance to land a blow on the coming Trump presidency. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries raised the plight of Americans who would be harmed by a government shutdown.
Jeffries' statement suggests Democrats will stand firm and demand Trump back down. There's little incentive for them to help extricate Johnson and the president-elect from their corner. After all, Trump demanded they cooperate in passing a stripped-down bill without any of their priorities.
And his order to raise the debt ceiling, which is expected to be reached in his second term, is a transparent attempt to place the political blowback for such a step on the current president before he leaves office and to spare himself.
The White House said it was up to Republicans to sort out the mess in the House. But there's no obvious path to do that, meaning Washington is clouded in uncertainty ahead of the holiday season.
North Dakota Senator Kevin Cramer told Raju he was frustrated that Trump had not made his bottom lines clearer sooner, and asked whether it was possible to raise the debt ceiling in only 2 days. He was doubtful.
But, it's almost Christmas. It's amazing what people might do to get home.
And there you have it, folks. The new Washington of Donald Trump and Elon Musk is off to a chaotic start. Stay tuned as we continue to follow this story and bring you the latest updates.
Thanks for joining us on Trend Talks with Jenny and Joey. Until next time, keep an eye on the trends and stay informed.